Hi, I'm Pierce Brosnan. I'd like to talk about some of the roles that I've played in my life.
For a man who spent decades playing the most composed spy in cinema, Pierce Brosnan has had a strange run lately. He is not in trouble with the law. He is not disappearing from the industry. But over the last year and a half, his name keeps surfacing in headlines that have nothing to do with a red carpet or a box office number, and almost everything to do with controversy, criticism, and rumor. An accent that critics tore apart on national television. A wife dragged into a cruel meme that would not die. A stranger's voice on the radio claiming a 30-year-old secret. And most recently, a fake report of his own death circulating online as if it were true. None of it has slowed him down professionally. All of it has followed him anyway. This is the story of what has actually been happening to Pierce Brosnan and why so much of it has very little to do with acting at all. In the spring of 2025, Brosnan stepped into one of the biggest television projects of his career. Mobland, a Paramount Plus crime drama built around the London underworld, put him alongside Tom Hardy and Helen Mirren in a cast built to draw attention. Brosnan played Conrad Harrigan, the patriarch of a criminal family locked in a violent turf war with a rival clan. It was exactly the kind of part that should have reminded audiences why he became a movie star in the first place. Commanding, dangerous, and quiet in a way that made every scene feel like it could turn at any moment. Then the reviews came in, and the conversation shifted almost overnight. Instead of talking about his performance, critics and viewers zeroed in on his accent. Brosnan, who was born in Drogheda and grew up in County Meath on Ireland's eastern coast, had chosen to voice Conrad Harrigan with a Kerry accent from the country's west, coached by a dialect expert recommended to him before filming began. On paper, it was a deliberate creative choice. On screen, it landed very differently. Major Irish outlets singled it out in their reviews, describing it in openly mocking terms, and social media did not hold back either. Posts calling the accent ridiculous and outright offensive spread quickly, even from viewers who otherwise praised the show. Brosnan did not dodge the criticism. In interviews that followed, he explained that his own natural voice is soft and understated, nothing like the characters, and that he had leaned all the way into the choice once his dialect coach pointed him toward it. He talked about a conversation with director Guy Ritchie the previous summer, in which Ritchie told him not to worry about getting the accent technically perfect. Brosnan took that as permission to commit fully rather than hedge. Whether audiences accepted the explanation is another matter. Even now, Pierce Brosnan's accent remains one of the most searched phrases connected to the show, which is an unusual legacy for an actor with a career as accomplished as his. If the Mobland accent controversy was uncomfortable, what happened next was something closer to cruel. In January 2026, an anonymous account posted a side-by-side image on social media. One photo of Brosnan and his wife, Keely Shea Smith, from an Academy Awards red carpet in the 1990s, and a second photo of the couple decades later at a movie premiere. The caption suggested that watching a spouse age was itself a case against getting married in the first place. The post spread fast, and so did the backlash against it. Fans of the couple flooded the replies defending their 25-year marriage, pointing out that a long life together naturally changes how two people look, and that mocking a woman's appearance for growing older says far more about the person posting than the person being mocked. It was not the first time Keely had been targeted this way. Years earlier, after their 21st wedding anniversary, a similarly unkind post about her body sparked a public response from Brosnan himself, in which he made clear how strongly he felt about defending her. This time was no different in spirit. Reports described him as furious, protective, and unwilling to let the moment pass quietly, and not long after, the couple made a rare joint public appearance together, seemingly as a pointed answer to the trolls. What makes this particular story worth pausing on is not the cruelty of one anonymous post. It is what it reveals about how differently Brosnan and his wife are treated by parts of the internet compared to how they are treated in real life. By every account of people close to them, theirs is considered one of the more solid marriages in Hollywood, built since they met at a party in Cabo San Lucas in 1994 and formalized at a 13th-century Irish abbey in 2001. Yet that stability has not made them immune to becoming punchlines for strangers who know nothing about either of them. Just as that chapter was settling down, an older story resurfaced that added a very different kind of pressure. In the summer of 2025, a caller identifying herself only as Claire phoned into an Australian radio program and claimed on air that she had once had a romantic relationship with Brosnan roughly 30 years earlier during the filming of a movie in Adelaide. She was deliberately vague about most of the specifics, but she suggested the timing overlapped with the earliest stages of his relationship with Keeley, which is precisely what turned a strange radio moment into a genuine controversy. Brosnan responded directly and firmly, denying the claim outright and telling reporters that he had been faithful to his wife throughout their relationship. People close to the couple described him as angry that the story had surfaced at all, framing it as one more attempt by a stranger to draw attention by attaching herself to his name, and stressing that after everything the couple had lived through together, an unverified radio call was not going to be what unsettled them. It is worth being clear about what this story is and is not. It is a public allegation made without evidence beyond one woman's account on a call-in show, and it is an allegation Brosnan has explicitly and consistently denied. It never developed into anything more concrete, no lawsuit, no corroborating witness, no documentation, and coverage of it largely faded within weeks. But for a few uncomfortable news cycles, it was one more example of Brosnan's private life becoming public property. Then, in early August 2026, came perhaps the strangest entry on this list. A social media page claiming to announce Brosnan's death began circulating, complete with a fabricated account of when and how he supposedly passed away. The page gathered an enormous number of engagements within days, which is exactly the mechanism these hoaxes rely on. A shocking headline spreads faster than the correction that follows it. Observers quickly noted the obvious red flag that no legitimate news outlet in Ireland or anywhere else had reported anything of the kind, which is not the sort of story a real network would sit on if it were true. Brosnan's representatives confirmed within a couple of days that he was alive and entirely unaffected by whatever the rumor claimed, pointing out that he had simply become the latest name added to a long list of celebrities targeted by the exact same recycled hoax format. Still, even a debunked death rumor carries a strange weight. It is unsettling for fans who see it before they see the correction, and it adds one more entry to a stretch of months in which Brosnan's name has been attached to controversy, gossip, and misinformation far more often than to his actual work. Here is what makes this moment genuinely strange rather than simply bad. None of it appears to be slowing down his career in the slightest. While the accent jokes, the troll posts, and the affair headlines were circulating, Brosnan was quietly assembling one of the busiest stretches of his professional life in years. Mobland, accent complaints and all, became one of the most watched original series in Paramount Plus history and was renewed for a second season well before its first had even finished airing, with Brosnan, Hardy, and Mirren all set to return. A forgotten 2023 crime film he starred in, which had barely made a dent at the box office on its initial release, found a second life on Netflix in mid-2026 and climbed into the platform's global top 10, introducing his performance to millions of viewers who had never even heard of the movie the first time around. Beyond that, he spent early 2026 undergoing a genuine physical transformation for a boxing drama, sitting through hours of prosthetic work each day to play a trainer almost unrecognizable from his own features, in a film produced by Sylvester Stallone that opened to serious attention at a major film festival before its UK release in January. And later this month, he headlines a big-budget reimagining of a classic action thriller, a project that was acquired in an 8-figure deal at a major festival market and is already generating talk of a sequel before it has even opened in theaters. At 73 years old, by any reasonable measure of an acting career, Pierce Brosnan is not fading. He is working more and in more ambitious material than he has in a very long time. That contrast is really the point of this story. The negative headlines around Brosnan over the past year and a half were rarely about his talent or his choices as an actor. They were about an accent people did not like, a cruel meme aimed at his wife, an unverified claim from decades ago that he denied, and a hoax that was never true in the first place. None of that reflects a career in decline. It reflects something else entirely, a very famous, very recognizable man in his 70s who remains an easy target for viral content, precisely because his face and his history are instantly recognizable to millions of people who have never met him. There is a lesson in that for anyone paying close attention. Being back in the news does not always mean something has gone wrong. Sometimes it just means the internet has found a familiar name to attach to whatever story, real or fabricated, kind or cruel, happens to be circulating that week. Brosnan has spent 40 years building a reputation as an actor who can hold a room without raising his voice. Off-screen over the last 18 months, he has had to do something harder. Hold his composure while strangers speculated about his voice, his marriage, his fidelity, and even whether he was still alive at all. By every account from the people closest to him, he has done exactly that, denying what needed denying, defending who needed defending, and going right back to work. Whatever comes next for Pierce Brosnan, the pattern of the last year and a half suggests it will probably follow the same shape. A wave of noise online, a headline or two that sounds worse than it is, and then quietly another film or another season of television that reminds people why he became a star in the first place. The tuxedo may be long gone, but the instinct to stay composed under pressure clearly never left him.